Three, two, one, and we're live. Okay. Hey guys, this is Bruce. Welcome to ConvoCourses podcast. And today I'm gonna do something I don't normally do, which is cover a little bit of the cybersecurity news. Just a few things that kind of popped up that I thought I should probably talk about. And then after that, I'll go to what we normally do, which is just talk, answer questions and stuff. So if you have questions or anything like that, or you have itching, burning questions you want me to answer, I'm your resident cybersecurity GRC person, information system security officer. I've been doing this a really long time. So if you have any questions, I will answer them as the best I can. All right. So let's go ahead and start. Let me see. So what I wanted to show you was a couple of things that have happened. And let me see if I can show my screen here. Okay. So first thing is that T-Mobile. T-Mobile got hacked by China. So right now they don't have a lot of information. No. If you have T-Mobile, no need to panic. Right now they don't know the extent, the impact of the attack. But let me see. So here's what I have so far. So on yesterday, November 15th, T-Mobile was among the networks attacked by damaging cybersecurity espionage operation. And actually, this affected several other companies. I believe AT&T was involved, possibly for Verizon, maybe. A bunch of different U.S. networks were attacked, mobile networks were attacked. It says T-Mobile is closely monitoring an industry-wide attack. And at this time, T-Mobile systems and data have not been impacted. They don't know of any significant attacks, no impacts just yet on customers. And they're monitoring the situation. The FBI is involved. The CISA is involved. And they're all, working together to make sure that they figure out what's going on with this potential breach. But there's no information on like customers or anything getting leaked, like what happens from time to time. And of course, Beijing, the CCP, is denying the claims that the U.S. government, who knows, with all of these attacks. I mean, it's just so crazy what's going on. I wish they would just show the logs or something. But the thing is, if they did that, it would show the means and the way that the attack vectors. If they showed the logs, it would show how that organization got into T-Mobile or what they're doing. It could possibly even show sensitive information. So that sometimes that's why they don't do it. But I wish they would just do it anyway, because it would give more validation on what they're claiming with these countries going back and forth and stuff. It would be nice for them to do that. So that's one thing that's going on. Just keep on top of that if you happen to be in the U.S. It says Verizon, AT&T, Lumen Technologies, all these different giant telecoms are involved with this. Were hit with by Chinese hackers. And okay, so the next thing is, speaking of the CISA. So CISA, before I go into this, the CISA is a very important organization that it's like the centerpiece of a lot of cybersecurity research. They consolidate a bunch of information from the private sector and the public sector in the U.S. to figure out, okay, who's attacking us. Like in the case of this attack on T-Mobile and Verizon and AT&T and all these different telecoms, they're in the center of it, and coordinating with the FBI and coordinating with the private sector and saying, okay, what is the actual threat? What can we do to protect our infrastructure? And that's what their name is Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency. And that's the whole thing, is we want to protect the whole infrastructure of the U.S. And they're I believe they're within the Department of Homeland Security. And so it's a pretty important organization. So one of the things that's happening is this is now on one of the chopping blocks of the new administration. So a senator named Rand Paul is going to be the head of the Homeland Security Committee, and he pledges to severely cut the powers of the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency or eliminate it entirely. All right, so this is not hyperbole. This is what he literally said. He says, I'd like to eliminate it. Like, that's his words. And he says that it has something to do with the First Amendment, and it's pretty important. And I think that the allegation is that the CISA was involved with suppressing freedom of speech online. And so that's why he wants to cut it or abolish it. But who knows how far that's going to get. I mean, it's a pretty important organization. So even if they get rid of it, they're going to have to rename it. Basically, it'll be doing the same thing, but they'll have to rename it because the way that things are going right now with all these cyber attacks, you definitely need to have some centralized place where the private sector and public sector are getting together and saying, okay, how are we going to do this? And now they want to get rid of it for political reasons. Crazy. What's really ridiculous about this is that this agency was created during the first Trump administration. So I don't really know what they're doing. Like, I don't know where they're going with this, but I guess we'll see. Maybe it seems like it's going to be a political circus, and then eventually they'll be like, okay, we're going to cut. We don't want you to do this part anymore. It'll probably be something like that. It's just, I don't know. I'm not sure like where they're going with that, but sounds like some changes are coming for the CISA. Another big change, or a couple of security things that are happening, is that a couple of companies are getting either bought or sold. One of those is called Recorded Future. So Recorded Future is a cyber threat intelligence organization. They do. So what they'll do is they'll take your company, right? They'll go to, like, say, Walmart. They'll say, okay, Walmart, we're going to look throughout the whole internet. We're going to look at the dark web, and we're going to see if anybody's mentioning your network. Like maybe Walmart has something for employees called Walmart employees or something. And so what they'll do is they'll take that keyword and they'll search the dark web, and they'll search the whole internet to see if somebody is trying to attack Walmart and see what's going on with it. They'll search the whole thing, and then they'll go into the actual dark web. They'll go into all of these different secret parts of the internet, and they'll figure out if somebody has, say, stolen or leaked a bunch of user credentials to the dark web. Because that's what happens a lot of times, is that either there's an insider threat and they'll steal some stuff and leak it to the internet or to the dark web, and then they'll sell that information to other criminal hackers or other countries. They don't really care. Or somebody will actually hack. They'll have a backdoor into their network or whatever. They'll steal all that information, and then they'll leak it to the dark web, and then they'll try to sometimes it's political. They just want to take out this company or take out this government or whatever, and they'll just leak it just for the hell of it and put it on WikiLeaks or whatever. Or sometimes what they'll do is they'll encrypt it, and they'll say, look, I'm selling this for $1 million. I'm selling this for $3, $4, $5 million for 1 million records from Walmart or wherever, right? And that's one of the things that this company does, Recorded Future, is that they'll scan the internet, and then they also do like threat assessments and stuff to see what the threats actually are for that company. If somebody's doing like what's it called, typo squatting, where, for example, what they'll do is they know that the URL for Walmart is walmart.com. So somebody will change they'll change one letter or put a space in there or something, or a dash, and it'll be wall-mart.com. And then they'll sit there and make a site that looks like Walmart to try to trick people into going to the wrong site and then putting in their credentials, and then they'll steal it. So that's another thing that Recorded Future will do, is they'll look for typo squatting and other kinds of nefarious activity that criminal hackers will do trick users or steal information or the like. So that's what Recorded Future does. Anyway, MasterCard is trying to purchase it. Let's see. MasterCard bets on Recorded Future. And the $2.5 billion buy validates the growing importance of threat intelligence. This is actually a good move. Possibly depends on how MasterCard backs this acquisition that they're making. So they spent $2 billion to acquire Recorded Future. It's one of the top cyber threat intelligence enterprise products out there right now. And hopefully they do it well and like continue to build it up and boost up the tools and hire good talent to keep on going with that product. Because this is a pretty good product. I used it in the past and it's pretty solid. It's pretty good. So that's MasterCard bet they're buying Recorded Future. Another big buy is possibly Rapid7. Rapid7 is a scanning tool. It's similar to Qualys or Tenable, Nessus, or any of the other scanners out there, and they're trying to get bought. They haven't been bought yet, but they're saying, hey, we're trying to sell this to a private equity firm to, so that whoever owns it can make more money. And hopefully whoever has it, acquisitions are not always a bad thing, to be honest with you. Sometimes it's better if the organization purchases a giant corporation and then they continue to nurture it and make it bigger and better. Sometimes that helps the functionality of it. Sometimes it helps the tools. Sometimes they can grow it bigger. In some cases, if they don't do it right, then it can actually collapse and kill it. So, which has happened from time to time. So hopefully these guys, whoever they sell Rapid7 to, which is a pretty decent product. That's another one I've used before. Hopefully, somebody will take care of it and keep growing it and make it bigger and compete with some of the big boys out there. All right, so that's pretty much it. I don't normally do the news, but I just a couple things popped up, and I thought we should probably talk about it. Probably the biggest one for me that will have a direct impact on what I do is the CISA one. But luckily, politicians don't tell they're doing. And it's probably going to take them 3 years to do anything. So by the time they do that, they'll change their mind again. So I'm not going to worry about it, but I just thought you should probably know about it. Okay, let me go to the comments. Hey, Larry, how you doing, man? Let me see. Larry says, he says, it is suppressing speech or countering the spread of misinformation and propaganda, heavily used in both world wars, in the Ukraine-Israel conflict. How is combating it not relevant? Yeah. So that was their argument. So what Larry's talking about is that the senator, let me see if I can bring it up again. The senator from Kentucky, Mr. Rand Paul, whose father is Ron Paul, said that he is now going to be the incoming chair of the Senate for Homeland Security Committee. And he's trying to change it or eliminate it entirely. And he was doing that due to one of the biggest things that the CISA does is go against misinformation, because other governments will put in fake information. Like during 2020, there's a debate about it. I mean, people are making stuff political, but this is a fact. Like Russia and other governments were influencing the election, right? Because it's in their best interest if one person wins over another, because one president will favor them over another. So it's in their best interest to do this. And this isn't the first time Russia has done it. Like in 2020, they were very much involved with our election. And then, I haven't been following it this time, but I'm sure they had something, they were putting stuff in there to sway opinions. But they also did it to Estonia. Like if you actually do some reading and some critical thinking, listen, they did this to several countries. They did it to Estonia. They do it to Georgia. All the surrounding countries with Russia, they do it to everybody. And I'm not saying the U.S. doesn't do stuff like this. Let's just say all countries do something like this. But if we know we're here in the U.S. and we absolutely know that they're doing. We have evidence that they're literally making 1 million bots on Twitter or 1 million bots on Facebook, and and we can see what they're saying, and we have evidence that they're doing this. They're causing all this propaganda and misinformation just to sway the election. Like, shouldn't we do something about it? Well, the CISA, that was one of their main jobs, is to identify it, and then if they can, remove it, and then talk to the private sector and say, listen, here's our evidence that this country is doing X, Y, and Z to our elections. Like, these are bots. There's 10,000 bots in here, and here's what they're saying. Here's the evidence that there's a bot and that it comes from this such and such country. We should probably do something about this, right? That's what the CISA is doing. What Rand Paul is saying is like, no, that's not. You guys are overstepping your bounds, and it's freedom of speech. People should be able to say whatever they want, and that's why I'm going to abolish the CISA. And I'm like, okay, that's only one thing that they do. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the politicians do not know what the hell they're doing. They do not know what the hell they're doing. It's just, it's very frustrating. Okay, let me see here. Let me see if I got some questions from TikTok. Sometimes I get a ton of questions from TikTok, and I'm going to try my best to answer you guys' questions. While I'm sorting through those, Larry says, going to be interesting, the direction of the CISA with Easterly stepping down due to the administration change, a solid spokesperson for the importance of the U.S. increasing cyber capability. Yeah. It was an organization that definitely was needed. And so I'm glad that it was set up during the previous Trump administration. It makes sense to have an organization like this. And even if they get rid of it or do whatever they're going to do, they're still going to have an organization to answer to kind of couple what's going on, the information between the private sector and public sector, and bring these different organizations together. They can call it whatever they want, but you're going to still have to have somebody to bind those together. But they're also talking about changing the Department of Homeland Security too, which I don't know. I'm not sure what they're going to do. Like I said, luckily they're so incompetent. It'll take them 2-3 years to do anything. So, wow, this is crazy. So TikTok just I got flagged for civic and election integrity. Repeated violations could cause your live to be discontinued. Man, this country what is happening? What is happening? Somebody just flagged me for saying something about the CISA. Oh my gosh, this is wild. This is wild, man. I don't understand. Are people like super sensitive about this stuff? I mean, if you disagree, you can just say something on here. I will read what you have to say. We could talk about it. Are you that sensitive? Crazy. Oh my Lord. Why are people so sensitive? So let me see here. Somebody said, Zeus said, when Broadcom bought Semantic, S&D buried it. Yeah, it doesn't always go well. These large purchases don't always go well. That's for sure. I mean, I remember when John McAfee, when he kind of got out of the way of the company that he created a McAfee, and he kind of got out of the way of it, and it continues to flourish. So it did well when it moved on or when it got sold. So what are some good cybersecurity projects to do that would be good to add to your resume? What would give you some good projects? I would say messing around with AWS for cloud, like setting up some projects for cloud. Like what you could do is set up a node on the cloud and maybe put it in 2 different availability zones. Like make a project where you have a resource in the cloud. It could be a website, it could be a node or something, and then you have to put it in 2 different availability zones so that it's accessible in both. That way, you could put on your resume that you're familiar with AWS, and you know how to create a website in 2 availability zones. Like you could put that skill set on your resume is one thing you can do. Security wise, that would help you with disaster recovery, because if it's in 2 different availability zones or 2 different regions, you could put that's one of the ways that you were able to do disaster recovery. What else could you do? One thing I did was virtualization. What I did was I set up I purchased it's called VMware, and I would put that on my system. I thought it was really fun, and I'd put VMware, and that allowed me to use a Linux box and a Windows box on the same computer, and then I would have the Linux box attack the Windows box, and I would mess around with the firewalls and all that kind of stuff. I would mess around with Kali Linux, which has a whole bunch of pen testing tools on it to get familiar with things like NCAT and FTK and some packet tools and stuff like that. That way I could put those on my resume. So there's a bunch of different things you can do. A lot of people, what they'll do is set up a lab, and that qualifies as a lab. What I did qualifies as a lab. And then another thing you can do if you have a virtual environment is what I would do, which I love to do, which was infect a system. I take a bare bones Windows system, put it in a virtual machine, and then I'd infect it. I'd turn off all the security features and go to a malicious website, and then get that system infected just like that. And then I would figure out how to remove the malware. So then I was familiar with, what tools to use to remove malware, or how to detect the malware that it's on there. That's something you could put on your resume as well. So I'll keep it going. Where do you do your other channels that you could watch? Oh, okay. So if you guys didn't know, on TikTok, like I'm also on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on LinkedIn. And just go there and type in ConvoCourses. You'll see me there. And sometimes, like the stuff that I'm saying to you here, I'm actually showing on the screen from time to time. So you can watch me on those different platforms. Instagram, sometimes that works. Like hopefully it's working right now. It looks like it's working. So I've been trying to get X to work. I'm not sure what's going on with it, but hasn't been working. I don't really have followers there anyway, so whatever. Let me see here. Larry says, other nation states aren't going to slow down. We can be at a severe disadvantage if our country is not careful. Yeah, that's true. Like that's one of the things that's really bad is that one of the things that's going on here, and I'm not going to get political here, but there's this like huge divide in the U.S. If you happen to not be in this country, like you should know, like right now, I mean, not just now. It's been going on it's been getting worse and worse over the past, I would probably say 20 years, where there's like 2 different sides of how people believe the country should go. And it's just that gap is just getting wider and wider and wider. And it's causing them to make everything political, even things that make sense. This side A and side B disagree so much that even if there's a good idea on this side, the other side will just disagree with it just because the other side wants to do it. It's just, for a person that uses rational thought and critical thinking, it's just very frustrating, because you want to get stuff done and you want to do the smartest thing, but instead these 2 sides make everything political, even things that make sense. And it sucks, because I mean, I love America. So I don't have to agree with you, right? We don't have to agree with one another to love this country. We don't have to like each other even. Like we have to live here. We need to take care of what we have. We might disagree on how to take care of it, but to destroy it because you don't want this other side to have it, like, it's crazy to me. But that's just me. Farron Perry says, hey Bruce, I'm working on a system admin DevOps project. I built a LAMP stack app with Linux, Apache, and MariaDB PHP. I want to do some GRC type work to it, like a scan. What can I do? I was thinking of using Nessus Scan. Oh, there's several things you can do. This is a project I was thinking about doing myself and sharing it out to people. So, a few things you can do. So remember, GRC, governance, risk, and compliance, is three things. It's essentially three things, and there's three different things you can do with this project you have. So you set up this system. You have yourself, you set yourself up some kind of a SaaS system, a software as a service system, or whatever, right? So from the governance side, what you can do is documentation. You can do a policy. You can do a procedure. Policy would consist of, let's say you wanted to be in compliance with a NIST CSF. So you could, in your policy, you could cite that here's how we do governance. We have a policy and it covers X, Y, and Z. And then you could have in the policy, you might address how do we do continuous monitoring to detect if there's an anomaly, right? You might look at the logs. You might have a log in the PHP portion of your stack, or in the Linux portion of your stack, where somebody every 3 weeks looks at the logs, and that would be in your policy. So you have the G part is governance, is going to be the policy part and all the written stuff that you want to have documented. The reason why you want to have documentation is because just in case you're on vacation and you want to pass it to somebody else to maybe look at the logs or to maintain the system, you could just give them that documentation, say, here's how it works. Or even to your customers, you could have policies, user policies to your customers. You might have legal documentation or privacy policies. Those are all part of the documentation piece that cover the governance side of the house, meaning here's how customers are going to interact with my system. Here's how employees are going to interact with my system. And here's how contractors will interact with my system. It's a policy that states all this stuff. A procedure might be a breakdown, and it's going to be way more detailed and technical, a breakdown of how you set it up, how you update patches on Apache, how you remove and secure Log4j if you have that with Apache. So, you've got policy and procedure, and then you've got the risk part. And you've already talked about the scanning. Like you said, you want to do scanning. You said thinking of Nessus Scan. So I believe Nessus will actually allow you 14 days to do free scanning. After that, it's pretty expensive. But there's other tools you can use to actually do scanning. And scanning isn't just the network side of the house. You can also manage the risk by looking at who has access, like looking at your access log. Like if you have a bunch of people who are going to have access, a bunch of users, a bunch of contractors or whoever coming in, or cohorts that are going to help you to develop it, you could have like an access log that you check periodically, getting rid of people who no longer need access and adding people who do. And you might also have a policy that addresses that. So that would also go back into your governance piece. And then compliance. Compliance really is based off of what you're going to use what do you need to comply with based off of the industry you're in. Like if you were in the government, it would be NIST 837, NIST 853. If it was retail, PCI DSS. If it was financial sector, you might use Sarbanes-Oxley. So, and then if you don't have any of those sectors, you're just a little small, organization, you might use CIS version 8. So CIS just has a stack of controls, like it's not as robust and crazy as the NIST 800. So you might use something like that, or you can even use the NIST CSF too. So those are things that you could do to put on with your project that would make it way more robust. And then if you involve people with it, that would be really cool. Let me see here. Somebody said John McAfee YouTube videos are hilarious. Man, that dude was whacked out of his mind. Oh my Lord. Very brilliant mind. But man, one thing I've learned in IT is that being smart doesn't make you sane. I've met so many very smart people. I've met people with photo-eidetic memories. I've met people who were just really brilliant minds, technically very, very brilliant. Like you can give them any technical thing and they could figure it out. They could build stuff from scratch. I mean, they were just brilliant. But being smart intellectually or being good at math and science or mechanics or something doesn't make you wise or mature or sane. Like those are that it's separate things. You can be super I've met so many super smart dudes who were crazy. I don't know how else to put it. I know that's a dismissive term, but okay, I'll give you a specific term. Sociopaths or narcissists, or on the spectrum, they were just autistic, or, not crazy. That's very dismissive, but it was very difficult for them to function in society. And yeah, I've met a lot of people like that in IT, and I was really shocked. I mean, it's an eye opener. You just kind of associate intelligence with like being somebody who you put on a pedestal, but that's not always the case. So John McAfee was one of those guys. He was brilliant. Like I believe he's the guy who, like, our idea of how to solve this issue with malware, of treating it kind of like a virus, came from him. Like where you inoculate the system using signatures that that you have to change from time to time because it has to match the new viruses. That, I believe, he came up with that idea, which is a brilliant idea. And so he started the company McAfee, and it's a multi-$100 million company. But the dude is, I'll put it to you this way. There's a thing on Netflix, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's about John McAfee and him believing that the government was spying on everything he did, so he left the country, right? And maybe they were. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't so crazy after all. So he goes to Belize, and then he's there for some time, and he believes the Belize government is then watching him. And maybe they were. I don't know, right? And then he ends up getting accused of killing his neighbor, who was also a foreigner from the U.S. or some other country. He wasn't from Belize, but he got accused of killing his neighbor execution style. And you might think, well, why would, that's a pretty steep accusation. But they had, previous to that, they had this argument about John McAfee's dog. And John McAfee's dog got shot, and then he thought his neighbor did it. And so suddenly his neighbor was dead. And then the Belize government tried to catch up with. Anyway, it's a crazy show. It's worth your time. And they have actual video of him talking. It's him talking. It's not just like a narrative. It's him. Like the film, it stars him. He's in the movie, and it's wild. Oh my Lord. What was that called? I can't remember what it was called. It's one of the best documentaries I've seen. John Matt, fascinating guy. Absolutely fascinating man. It was called Running with the Devil. Oh, wow. Holy crap. This is talk about a wild movie. If you're into conspiracy theories, you're going to love this one. About John McAfee. It's on Netflix, or at least it was. Yeah, it looks like it still is on Netflix. Check it out. Running with the Devil. Yep, that's it. That's the name. Brilliant, brilliant man who had some severe stability issues in the brain. So, yeah, crazy. I liked it. I don't know why it only has 3 stars on IMDb. Let me see. Got some questions here, comments on TikTok. Let me see. Man, I wonder why TikTok flagged me. I think somebody reported me. It's getting crazy on TikTok. I've deleted TikTok from my main phone because it's getting ridiculous. It's so much lies on there. So much lies. Like, I don't know what is going. The propaganda is crazy on there. Walter says, where do you? Okay, I already read that one. Let me see. Jay says, trying to get a job in SOC analyst. What do you recommend? So I would ask first, like, what's your background in SOC analyst work? If you have no background in IT at all, I would suggest don't go for a SOC analyst job. That's just me. I mean, you could if you want to. I wouldn't. I guess if you were willing to drive, like if you're willing to relocate, if you're willing to travel, if you're willing to go to another country, there might be a SOC analyst job for entry level that you have no experience. They might be able to train you on the job, but it's going to take a sacrifice on your part. That's what I did, but I had a background in IT, so I still don't know if they would actually take you if you have no background. So if you have no background, I would recommend some local basic IT or field tech position to start with, because that's going to be the easiest way for you to get your foot in the door. And if you have a background of help desk, then what you want to do is improve your resume and then do more than one resume and make another resume that focuses on all the security stuff you did. Highlight all the security stuff and then post that everywhere. That's what I would recommend you do. And shoot for a SOC analyst job, and you might be able to get one. You might have to relocate. You might have to have travel. It might be shift work. It's not the first iteration of your SOC analyst life is not going to be fun. But if you want to do it, sometimes you got to make a sacrifice. Let me see. Any ideas I can pitch my manager for a compliance team? Yeah. What I would do to pitch an idea for a compliance team is, first of all, know what compliance you need. Read through their policy, their security policy. It should point out what is needed. And you can go a couple ways with this. So if it already points out, say, NIST CSF, cybersecurity framework, but you can see your organization's not doing it properly and there's a lot of gaps, then you would take the security policy, go through it and say, okay, here are all the gaps, write it down and put it in an email, like, to track what you're about to do. And then, like, in a professional way, write all the gaps, the security gaps that you guys are not doing, that you're saying you're doing, but you're not doing, or stuff that's missing that should be in there. Like, maybe you're not doing detection properly, or you're not doing it at all, but that's part of what you're supposed to have in this CSF, and yet you guys are supposed to be compliant with it, and you're not doing it. You would cite that, put it down, and then formally send that to your manager, and then request a meeting. Say, look, here's the issues we have. Here are all the gaps, and this is why we need a compliance team of at least 3 people, and or maybe a commission, like otherwise, in other words, like, it's not the team is comprised of people from the system admin team, the incident response team, and yourself, and you guys come together to do compliance, and that's the commission. Like, it's not an actual, that's not the main job you do, but you guys come together when necessary to fill out these gaps or whatever. So that's what I would do is I would have a solution and then send it to my boss formally and say, here's what we should do, right? Have a proposal that's reasonable, that can fit within their budget and time, and have time frames and everything, and say, here's what, and then maybe if when things go wrong and you guys have an inspection and they, you guys fail it, you can always go back to the email and say, well, this is what we, I still propose that we do this. Now you have a paper trail of you bringing it up. And then, because they don't normally do compliance until what I've noticed is nobody's going to volunteer money to do compliance if they don't have to. It's usually when something goes horribly, horribly wrong that they do compliance. Nobody wants to do it until something goes horribly, like bosses get embarrassed, there's a breach, and then the breach is connected directly to people not having encryption and then putting a username and passwords in a share drive or something. It's just dumb. And then the boss's boss comes in and says, wait a minute, doesn't this violate the FISMA standard? And then that's when you get compliance. It's stuff that's like something completely ridiculous is the reason why you get compliance. So if you don't have a compliance team, that's probably why. Nothing bad enough has happened yet. But if you start documenting like what you propose and then send it to them when something goes wrong, and it will go wrong, because that's what compliance is. Part of it is supposed to help to make the disasters have less impact. And people don't understand that until the actual disaster happens. And disasters can come in many different shapes. So it's not always an earthquake, right? Sometimes it's a breach. Sometimes it's a insider threat. Sometimes it's a system goes down and there's no backup. Sometimes it's like something will definitely at some point go wrong. Is Metasploit a good one to use? Metasploit. So Metasploit, I believe, is used for pen testing. Metasploit. I've not used Metasploit too much. I know it's been in a few environments I've been a part of. Metasploit is the world's most used pen testing frameworks. Oh, right. Yeah, so Metasploit is actually in it's in a bunch of different tools. And yes, it's because everybody uses it, I would say yes. But I'm not a Metasploit expert, so I would not I really can't speak on it too much. That's not my field of expertise. Larry says, with cloud technology becoming a mainstay and with AI becoming more prominent, do you think the CISSP will remain the top cybersecurity cert to pursue, or will it change to something cloud-based? I think that probably they'll include, if they haven't already, start including a little bit of cloud stuff in it. I don't think that the CISSP's, I think the CISSP is safe for the next 5-6 years for sure. And the reason why I say that is because for the market to make a 180 and start doing something completely different, like it's gonna take a while, right? Right now, it's the CISSP is its strength is in its popularity. People know what it is, and the same can't be said about the other ISC2 squared certifications. They're relatively popular, but not like the CISSP. So I don't believe it's going anywhere. I think that they'll just start including a little bit of cloud. They'll sprinkle a little bit of cloud and a little bit of AI stuff in there, and it'll continue. They'll keep updating it. As long as they keep updating it, it'll remain strong, because CISSP is like a manager type certification. It doesn't get in the weeds. So because the way they designed it, it doesn't step on the toes of your elite networking certifications. Like if you are a network dude, if you are a senior network engineer, you probably still need to have a CCNA in addition to a CISSP. So if you are a cloud architect, you probably still have to have a AWS cloud or Azure cloud architect certification And if they want you to have a CASP or a CISSP, you will still have to have that. So to answer your questions, I don't think that it's going to be taken out, because the only way it could possibly be taken out is if a equivalent certification takes its spot. Like if it was like CASP might be able to do it, because that's also like a management type, high level management certification that doesn't get in the weeds on, it doesn't get super technical, as far as I know. And then what's another one? CISA. Like there's a few that are up there that do what it does, but there's nothing directly, its spot is pretty secure. There's nothing like really in its league right now, because everybody knows what it is. So it's still a great certification to get. It's still going to earn you a whole bunch of money once you get it. You know, how relevant is it? It depends on what you're doing. It doesn't get in the weeds too much. So I think it's still relevant. I don't see anything taking its spot, to be honest with you. And then somebody chimed in and says CISSP gets you past the HR filters. And that's one of the great selling points about everybody knows what it is. HR doesn't know what, most HR don't know what OSCP is. Most HR doesn't know what, I don't know, name a certification. They probably don't know what it is, right? But CISSP, most will know what that is immediately. So it's a reigning champion, and that's because everybody knows what it is. It doesn't go too much in the weeds. How useful is it? You know, that's kind of up for an opinion, matter of opinion. We'll still get tech skills and the cert though. Yeah. Tech, like what's really served me is to have a little bit of enough tech skills so people know, this isn't my first rodeo show. You know, I've done some stuff. I've had my hands on a keyboard before. I've applied stigs and shut myself out of a box and then had to redo the whole box and re-stig it. You know, I've had to touch Cisco routers. I had to, mess around with stuff, but also have that premier CISSP management certification. Like that's really helped me. That combo of having that, because you get past the HR filters who see the CISSP like, oh yeah, he's got the CISSP. You get in, and then you get to the interview and they start asking you direct questions about scenario-based questions that you have to actually, perform. So, so that's why I always say, like, it's really, really good to have an IT technical background as much as possible. Okay, let me see. Got more questions here. Somebody said, I really like pen testing. I'm just not great at code. Yeah, I mean, you could still do scripting, and then practice like Python or something. That'll help you out a lot with pen testing. Somebody else says, with pen testing, what are some free ways to learn pen testing? I believe there's a site called Hack the Box, so you could start learning it. And I think that they have like a free trial. Hack the Box. Show it on my screen here. Hack the Box. There it is right there. Here's the site. I think they have like a free trial or something. It is paid, but let me see what the pricing is on this. $250 per seat per month. What happened? What's happening? Hack the Box. That is wild. Okay, there's another one called oh my Lord, what is it called? Hack the Box. Oh, what's the other one? I'm drawing a blank right now. There's another one that I don't remember what it is. But there's a couple of sites out there that will help. Hack the Box alternatives. Try Hack Me. That's what it's called. Man, Lord have mercy. Try Hack Me. Thanks, Larry. Appreciate that. Try Hack Me. I think, is this the one with the free trial? Let me see. Hopefully I didn't type in the wrong thing. Okay, here we go. Pricing. I think, yeah, there you go. See, it's free. They have a free for individuals who want the basics. So this is a great way to start. Try Hack Me. That's one way you can do it. Another one, the best one is probably to set up your own environment and then hack yourself. You could, back in the day, you'd have to buy a bunch of equipment. You'd have to buy your own routers and switches, and it was pretty expensive. I know because I did it. I would go on Craigslist and buy routers that people didn't want anymore, or whatever, or eBay, and buy a firewall, and then I would set up a network, and then I would have a system here, a computer here, and another computer here, and I would install it on this computer and then hack this other system and then turn the firewall on to see how it blocks things and have a packet capture software to see the packets in there and stuff, Wireshark or whatever. And I'd have to get all this software and all this hardware and put it on this network. But now you could probably you can do it on one system. You could have something called VirtualBox, which I believe is free. You could have VMware and a few other products out there that allow you to have a virtual environment where you could have a virtual operating system here and a virtual operating system here on the same network, and then hack from here to here, and then practice all the tools and stuff that you need to do pen testing. And that's a great way to practice all the tools and the methods and stuff that you need to know about. Another thing to do is look into MITRE's TAC framework. Let me see here. You said the word. Oh, okay. So I'm not going to say that word. Okay. All right. People are telling me on TikTok I shouldn't have said certain words. That's why they say unalive. That's the first time that's happened to me. You notice, I've been noticing, like, I'll be watching YouTube videos or whatever, and they keep saying, oh, unalive or grape or like, what? Just say the word. That's the reason why, because it automatically did that, didn't it? That was fast. Damn. Okay. Thank you. Thanks. There was a time when you could say those words without automatically getting flagged. Thoughts on SANS? SANS is fire. So SANS is similar to organizations like ISC2 Squared or ISACA or EC Council. SANS is kind of on a different level, though. They have their own certifications, just like EC Council and IC Square and all those kind of other organizations. But SANS goes to another level by offering all these different levels of training. Now, first of all, their certifications are fire. Like, they've got a bunch of stuff that that some of the other organizations who have certs don't have, such as I'm trying to find their certifications, such as the GCIA and incident response certifications, and then on top of that, they have really, really good training. They focus on the training aspect, and I think CompTIA has training, and I think ISC2 Square has been trying to be better at having training. I don't know about ISACA, but these guys have some of the best training I've ever seen. It's very different than the other organizations. It's very, very deep and robust, and it's a lot of hands-on stuff. And here's the site right here. SANS is great. They're incredible. I love their certifications. I don't have one personally. They're very expensive. That's the only thing. So they're incredible, but they're like, when I say expensive, I'm talking about like they're $5,000 for a certification, or like $9,000 for a certification. It's very, very expensive. And I don't know how that works. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm trying to go to the prices here to show you what I'm talking about, to give you an idea, show you I'm not lying to you. Let me see. I'll say price of, watch this, GPen. GPen is their penetration testing certification from SANS. What is it worth? No, we want, look at this. Do you see this price right here? Okay, well, I guess this one's only $900, so that's pretty expensive for a certification, by the way. The cost to sit for the GIAC GPen certification exam is $949. This price includes 2 practice tests, and they recommend that you take their SANS SEC 560, which is $7,000. Let's look at another one. Let's look at one of my favorites, GCIA. At one time, I was thinking about doing this one. Also $900, $999. And then the training is going to be something astronomically dumb. I don't see the training here. But yeah, that's the GPen. Yeah, $4,000 for the training. GCIA. What's the other one? GCIH. GCIH. Also a great certification. $900 to sit for the exam. Not cheap, right? So online training, $8,000. You don't have to take the training from what I understand, but for just to sit for the test, it's nine. Yeah, those are prices right there. Any GIAC certification attempt is $999. Applied knowledge certifications, $1,299. If you retake it, it's $899. Oh man. Wow, expensive. Expensive. You don't always pass the first time, so yeah, that's expensive. Okay. Oh, I think it's an open book test. Yeah, I think those are open book tests. Yes, I believe you're right. So, I mean, you would think like, well, how can you possibly fail if it's an open book test? I mean, the thing is, you really got to know it before you take the test. The open book is great, but you got to know how. Like, you got to develop a method of how to sort through it in order to find what you're looking for in those books, because their books are like huge. Managers at the company really pushing for SANS certifications. What do you think? I think that's great. Like, whenever I was in a SOC analyst role, and I had a CISSP at the time, and I had a CCNA, and I had a Security Plus, and I taught the Security Plus. And then there was a few other people, like one guy had a CEH, and the people that shined were the people who had SANS certifications. The people who were teaching us were people who had the GCIH, the GCIA, which focuses a lot on network forensics. They were really smart on that stuff, man. And you would think, well, it's an open book test. How would they? Because they studied their ass off before the test, and they went through that training. So it's no joke. And that was it. It wasn't. I was impressed. I was like, damn, SANS is stuff, and the SANS stuff is incredible. And when I was there, we would use the SANS material to, to do our work. So it's SANS is no joke. It's awesome. So if you can get a company to pay for it, man, do it. So yes, the certification and training that I took was $10K. $10K for the SANS certification. I take my CPP test next week. I'm excited. CPP test. What is a CPP? CPP. AWS? CPP certification. Oh, CISSP. Is that what you mean? I'm going to take the CISSP in 2025. What is a CPP test? CPP cybersecurity. Is that cybersecurity? I'm Googling it right now. Oh, for CMMC. Right. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know a few people who have it. Recently met a few people that have it, and every time I see it, I'm like, "What is that?" And then I Google it, and I'm like, "Oh, CMMC." I think Will Reed had one, and then a couple other people I talked to had one, and every time I see it, I'm like, "What is that?" And then I Google it. Yeah, that's cool. Cool certification to have, I think, because there's got to be a lot of jobs for companies that do business with the Department of Defense. There's got to be a lot. And then they all have to use CMMC, right? Correct? So that's got to be useful. All right. Let me see if I missed any questions here. A whole lot. Yeah. A whole lot of jobs that do what is called NIST 800-171 and the CMMC. Let me see here. Okay, somebody asked me, what did T-Mobile do? So T-Mobile, not what they did, it's what happened to them. Just to recap. So recently, like yesterday, November 15th, 2024, T-Mobile was hacked in a massive Chinese breach of telecom networks. This is coming from the Wall Street Journal, and I'm reading this from Reuters. So several different sources are talking about it. So if you're biased against certain news organizations, you can go search it for yourself. But anyway, T-Mobile network is among systems hacked in a damaging Chinese cyber espionage operation that gained entry into multiple U.S. and international telecom companies. And the hackers are linked to Chinese intelligence agencies. Were able to breach T-Mobile as a part of a months-long campaign to spy on cell phone communications of high-value intelligence targets. So they actually had a target within the telecom. So they were targeting actual intelligence organizations. T-Mobile is closely monitoring this industry-wide attack. And at this time, T-Mobile systems and data have not been impacted in a significant way. We have no evidence of impacts on customer information. And that's pretty much all they have. They're working with the FBI. They're working with the CISA. And so far, they've just been able to identify, this was a state-sponsored, possibly a state-sponsored attack. And actually, they hit more than one organization. They also hit AT&T, Verizon. So earlier in October, the Journal reported that Chinese hackers accessed the networks of U.S. broadband providers, Verizon, AT&T, and Lumen Technologies, and obtained information from systems. So that's what's going on. And T-Mobile just recently went out and mentioned this. So more to come. More information will come up. Hopefully the impact hasn't been too crazy. It's not going to be too. Sometimes it is insane. Like they get everything. They get all the information on every person. But this time it seems like it's just a directed attack on one specific organization that happened to be using T-Mobile. But who knows, right? It could be, the impact could be really crazy. So that's why we got to kind of wait to see the full report. All right, let me see here. Yeah, man, TikTok is letting me know, hey, man, you can't use those words in the comments. They're like, hey, you use this word. I can't even say the word. This is crazy. This is wild, man. What is happening? This is crazy, man. What are free ways to do pen testing? What are, let's see, Metasploit? Any ideas on? Okay, I already read that one. Yeah, it's been crazy, man. This I'm really excited to see what happens with what they're proposing with the agencies. I want to see it happen. I'm excited about it. It'll be interesting. Let me see. So far, CISA, they're talking about getting rid of it. Department of Homeland Security, they're going to restructure it. I think the FDA, they're going to restructure something with that one. Department of Education, gone. Talking about getting rid of that one. And then also they're going to reduce the total size of the government, which for me, that's really interesting because most of the money that's spent, I want to say, unless I'm wrong, it comes from two main locations, and that is healthcare in the U.S. The government spends most of the money on the Department of Defense and healthcare. So if they really wanted to cut the budget, they would start there, because if that's the lion's share of where our budget goes, that would be where they would start. I just don't see them cutting those two. That would be political suicide. Oops, I said the word. Is it gonna flag me? Let me see. It's gonna flag me. Let me see. Maybe I should say all the words to see if it flags me. Oh my goodness. Is it gonna flag me? Crazy, man. All right. Okay, I got another question here or comment. Somebody said, love your podcast. I watch every single one of them. Wow, that's crazy. I have all of your books. Very easy to understand. I have very every single one. I'm a GRC control analyst. Oh man, thanks for your support. I really appreciate it. I got more to come. Just stay tuned. I'm working on some stuff. I've got a lot of stuff coming. It takes me a while to get through this stuff because it's a lot of information. There's just a lot of going on in the books where I have to double check what I wrote and then, get an editor and everything. So it just takes me a while to get through them, and I'm going as fast as I can, but it's only so much I can do with a full-time job. But thank you guys for all your support. I really appreciate it. Like, that's the support that I get is because people are buying the books and buying the courses and watching my videos and, joining memberships or whatever. Like, all those things help me to say, okay, people want to know more, like people are interested. And that helps me to know, hey, keep going. So appreciate it. Thanks. Special thanks to Larry. Thanks for all the people who've supported me over the years. I really appreciate it. That's the other reason why I'm still doing this. Let me see. I'm going to be at the CIEC East next week, but I would love to see it you guys are having a conversation. Sorry. East Coast has all the cool meetings and stuff. All right. I think I'm gonna go ahead and kill this one at 1 hour. I appreciate it. I'm gonna get back to work writing books and stuff. As I said, those things take me a while, so I'm gonna get back to work. Thank you for all your support. Appreciate you guys joining this every week. Like I said, there's a lot more to come. I've got so many irons in the fire, stuff I'm trying to do to expand. People have been asking me for like things like mentorships and like communities, and I'm working on something to where I can accommodate a lot of things at once and have a forum that we can talk like all the time. I'm just trying to pick the right place and then set it all up and everything. So I am listening. It's going to take me a minute to set it all up. I want to do it the right way. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I will be back here next week for sure. Thank you so much.